And in 2008, David Suchet, bless him, came and launched it for us at the River and Rowing Museum in Henley, where I think quite a few of you have been. And I think it's over to Simon.
Now follow that. Follow that. So there we had this idea. Never built a boat before, didn't know what to do, didn't know anything about disability, just had a dream, like the wonderful man this morning. And so we started shouting like the town crier, saying, let's get some money and help us. And Leighton here was one of the first people to help us,
Yes.
right from the beginning. If it wasn't for Leighton, we wouldn't be here talking to Rotary now.
No, very true.
And there we are. So what we did was we raised some money, a lot of money, £165,000. We didn't know what to do at that point, or while we were raising the money. We had to find where to get this boat from. We then had to get some trustees to help us to do what we had to do. And luckily we found Paul Wagstaff, who was a deputy president in the Waterways Association, who had an MBE for community boat work. So he helped us find a builder in Norfolk, and we built, we commissioned and built this boat up in Norfolk. And that was a start. What we didn't know was going to use this boat. And we get the money. Now Judith here, who you all know, did all our PR for us and made it all happen. Without her, again, it wouldn't have happened. We remember we met her doing the regatta at Cookham, which now is run by Marlow Rotary, interestingly enough, which we started. Anyhow, so it all developed and grew, and Rotary then helped us, and by an amazing, wonderful experience, we both have, of course, the Paul Harris Award, which was given to us by Judith and Christine and Ms. Bourne-Matin. So we're not Rotarians, but we feel part of Rotary, very much part of Rotary. We've actually spoken now to 28 Rotary clubs, and this is the 30th. So there we are. So we raised the money. We had massive help from, and then we launched the boat. And I think Rotary did 4 launches for us up and down the Thames. Because Rotary said to us, what you're doing is exactly what we are, local people helping local organisations to get what they want to do for disabled people with problems, disadvantaged people, and so on. And so off we went. So we built the boat. There's pictures of it here somewhere. And where is it? Oh, there it is. That's the boat. 42 foot long, 12 foot wide, with a space here for a ramp and a lift, lifting it into the hull of the boat, and then a wide open saloon there with a sliding roof, specially built for this purpose, because there was no way in which we could buy a second-hand boat and try and adapt it. It was a Broad's cruiser, in fact. Now then, of course, the money, I thought, well, we're not paying VAT for this. So I rang the VAT people in Bootle and said, look, I'm building a boat. Well, people haven't known about building boats, they said, but however, it's a bit like a bus for disabled people. I say exactly like a bus. So if you look at section number 5, page 54, number wherever it was, we'll give you the money. So that saved us 20,000 quid. A bit lucky. So off we went, and then of course, what happened next was that we had to find users for the boat. Now, do you want me to tell them about this, or all the things that you did?
No.
Well, wifey here, she set up.
Sorry, I'm always known as wifey.
She said, oh, I must find out who can use this boat. So researched care homes, she researched especially schools, nursing homes, and everyone who might use this boat. Then she proceeded to write letters to them all, which we signed and stamped, all of them. This year we've just sent out 1,200. Because the only way to make people understand is to send them the details physically in the post. Doesn't happen otherwise, doesn't work otherwise.
It's no good sending emails, because they never seem to reach the right person unless you know exactly the name. And you can imagine, in a nursing home or something, the matrons are always changing, but the way you write to them with a letter and a little booklet or whatever we've included, it seems to reach the right person, and we get the bookings, which is the most important part.
So, like all businesses, operation plans, computer projections and all this rubbish. And we made it work. And what we did was we ran the boat from Windsor, we still do, from Windsor to Oxford. It goes up and down the river. It stays for a month or so at different places and takes our people from those areas. While we were building the boat, Lucy Herbert came to us and said, I'd like to run your boat for you. Now, she'd actually worked for the Environment Agency, which means I can now introduce the harbour master. This man here is responsible, James Over is responsible for the river all day today, all this week. The whole thing relies on his back. So we're very privileged to have him here, and he'll be talking to you later on. But she worked, she was a motorman with the Environment Agency. And so we said, okay. So she went up to do the test trials in Norfolk. And since then, we've taken our 15,000 people, travelled 8,000 miles. I'm not sure they're nautical miles, but they're certainly miles. Gone through 4,000 locks and expended 60 volunteer hours. It's been an amazing journey. We now have 15 qualified skippers, 40 crew members, which are trained again by James here. And we set up our own website for the skippers and crew. So all the bookings Lucy puts on the website, and people tick off what they want to do. Works like a dream.
Explain the inside.
Explain what, darling?
The inside.
The inside of the boat. Well, let's explain to you. Obviously, if people are in wheelchairs and want to get into the boat, you can't have... Oh, take the... I'm sorry. I can't move it. I can't get with this. But inside, I'll do the town cry bit. Inside the boat, as Pat just said to me, it's completely open. Because obviously people who are disabled can't move around opening doors and this sort of thing. Also, there is a loo for them at the back. Now this means that the skipper can't see behind the boat, which is actually a bit difficult, isn't it? So we have a camera on the back of the boat, photographing what's behind, and a television screen and a thing on the front where she's driving it, so she knows where she's going and what's going on behind her. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. It holds 5 wheelchairs. I can't cope with that, my wife. It holds 5 wheelchairs, which is actually wonderful. And they get on the ramp and get them on. And we take people from the epilepsy centre, for example, and we have 3 enormous wheelchairs. They all get on the boat, and it's absolutely wonderful. So, of course, we're into all regulation and training. And that's quite exhausting. Luckily, I found someone else to do that for me. So, regulation, manuals, health and safety, you name it, child protection, CRBs, done all that, but that's not my job. My job is to make the thing work, and Pat and I make it work. People love being delegated to. So we had luck. We found a man who rang up a mate of mine who in the paper made lots of money. I rang him up and said, Alistair, I need some cash. So he said, okay, how much do you want? I said, well, I made a figure. I said, oh, God, double that. But by the way, he said, the chap works for me, he's retiring in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, was a boatman, loves the river. And I said, that's interesting. Within 10 minutes, this chap was on the telephone, Arthur Edmonds, lovely man. And I said, you're a very corporate chap. I gave up corporate years ago, thank God. And but you love it, you're good at it, you know what you're doing. You are in charge of the manual, the training, all that stuff. Yay, I love it. You've done it for 5-10 years for us. And just given up recently, and James has luckily taken it all over, thank heaven. Licenses, insurance, it's a huge performance. But the most important thing of all is taking out disabled people. That's what we do. Works like a dream. We've had the most amazing support, astonishing support, from Rotary, from Lions. We have now eight Rotarians on our skippers and crew. So we're absolutely linked hard, tight into Rotary. We have to fund fundraising now. We have people give us money, regular bursaries from the Shanley Foundation and others. And it's been an exciting journey. But it didn't stop there. We saw people sitting on boats. And we thought, wait a minute, these kids can do more than sit on a boat. So, in a eureka moment, by chance, I was visiting, Pat sent me down to see the Business Sailing School because their chief executive was an artist. And I love pictures of the river. And she'd go and have a look at what goes on down there. I found 2 pictures. While I was there, Roy May, Peter's father, where's Peter? Peter will be talking to you later on, said, well, wait a minute. What are you doing, son? What mad idea have you got now? I said, well, I want disabled people to paddle, to do things. Well, he said, look no further. We can do it. And we've done it. We set up the Accessible Boat Club, and we're now taking out, how many now? 700 people, Peter, is it? Something like that? Yeah. That's 700 people. They have, he told all about it, because he has a slideshow and a film. I don't do all that. There's all this stuff here for you to see. And there's a slideshow coming up, and there's a picture coming up, and there's Pointless, or whatever they call it, doing as well. And he comes and does all that. I don't touch it. But he brings that in, and you'll hear all about it. So he has 3 bellbirds, a power boat, a wheelie boat, and pictures of it actually on your tables. You've got the book all about Bisham Abbey and what we do down there. Because Bisham Abbey being near Marlow, where actually I grew up in Bisham Village, so I know Marlow very well indeed. And during the war, it was another sort of totally different. So there we are. Yeah.
Can I draw you to a bit of a halt so that...
And come in, give me a minute. I know what I'm doing. I know you're a headmistress, but I do know what I'm doing. We're under control. Don't worry. I'm looking standing outside the head study. I'm looking at the clock. Don't bully me. I can't take it. It's beyond my experience. 6 on the first. So what happens now? What happens now is what you haven't told you about, and this is what's coming next, is that Mike Pooley, sitting here, is going to talk about the
Regatta for the Disabled.
That's it, Regatta for the Disabled. And what happened there was that we had a phone call one day from a friend of mine at Phyllis Court who said, can you bring your boat down, take some people up the river? So yes. What's it for? Well, is it for visibility, for money, for what? Oh, I don't know, he said. So somewhere I said, well, because we used to run corporate regattas for companies. I said, well, let's have a regatta for the disabled. So Pat here puts 10 people in a room, shuts the door, and says, you're going to run this regatta. We're not. We've done enough regattas. We're getting old. You do it. We'll interfere, and we'll nag. So over to you.
You never know with Simon. I'm Mike Pooley. I'm secretary of the Henley Bridge Rotary Club, and I've just retired as a skipper from Rivertime as well. Can we have, I've done, oh, there we go. My second PowerPoint presentation, so you'll have to bear with me. There's lots of Rotarians here. There are one or two, too close?
What would it be higher?
How's that? Yes? Can you all hear? Right. There are lots of Rotarians here. There's one or two interesting points in the presentation which might help. The R4D, or Regatta for the Disabled, really originated of an idea of 2 ladies with disabled children, Jane Holmes and Lucy Walton. They went to Simon, and Simon, being Simon, as he said, got several people, quite a lot of people, into a room, most of us not knowing what it was all about. He allocated various jobs, and Regatta for the Disabled was formed. You can read, I don't know whether I want to read these for you, but you can read the reasons for Regatta for Disabled there. We had to have a committee. Yes, I didn't pick the colour of the sweaters, but the committee there, we organised sponsorship, land events, water events, PR and administration, working on the day. And surprise, surprise, there were 2 Rotarians there and 2 Lions. And we're always looking for helpers. Our main objective was to be able to get disabled people and their families on the water. But we needed to provide spectacle and involve disabled people and their families and other disabled organisations. We booked Dragons Alive to stage the Dragon Boat Regatta. They professionally run this part of the afternoon, providing 2 dragon boats with helmsmen, safety boats, mark out the course, organise the heats leading to the final, provide exciting commentary, and for this they charge just under £5,000. We then have to find the dragon boat crews, which we charge £220 per crew. And this year we had 12 crews, and many organisations bring along their supporters. They also raise money for the charities that are sponsored. And you can see they dress up and they have a good time. We're lucky to have the support of the Shanley Foundation, which covers the cost of that Dragons Alive. Now, there are other things going on the river. Rivertime kindly comes along, and they can take, as I say, 5 wheelchairs, and we run this all day, mainly. Where's Noel? Noel steers the boat all day, 20-minute trips, 25-minute trips. But also, we have 2 Hobbs boats who they kindly donate, and they're running all day, and they're manned by Rivertime skippers. And also this year we introduced the bell boats, and you get up to 10 people in the bell boats. You'll hear more about bell boats later. And this causes quite a lot of consternation on the river because we've only got 1 landing stage. And you can see we've got Rivertime, the dragon boats filling up. We've got the bell boats and the 2 Hobbs boats, so it all needs careful managing. The land base. We couldn't run the event without the generosity of Phyllis Court. They let us run the event in the paddock, and they do it every year. And you can see there the various. I'll take this off. I can't see what I'm. No, I can't. You can see. Can you take it off for me? There we are. Thank you. You can see there that we get sponsorship where we can on these various other activities. I mean, our Rotary Club sponsor the Punch and Judy, who put on 3 shows in the afternoon. We got Invesco Perpetual to sponsor the climbing wall, which this year is costing £900. Somebody donated a rowing machine, which was very good. We've got bouncy castles. And the circus acts is a new thing we introduced this year, and they had various activities which involved the children and the disabled. I think most of those are not disabled, but that went down very well. Fun of the fair, lots of you will know Miller's Ark, the zoo. They come along with their animals and they're petted all afternoon. The Lions sponsored that for us, which was very good. Face painting. We also invite lots of the disabled groups. Bishopswood School come along and raise money for their causes and various others. And this year we introduced a roving entertainer, which again went down very well. There was a sensory bus in Oxford. I don't know whether you know about it, but unfortunately it went bust. But we were looking, that would have been a nice thing again. We're always looking for things that disabled can interact with. At the end of the afternoon, over 380 people were taken out on river trips. All the children on the boat trips was presented with a medal and a goodie bag, and over 700 people attended. And we charge £5, but the carers come in free, and everything there, apart from the food and drink, is free. Now we were lucky, because we bank with NatWest Henley, and the lady on the left there comes along to our events. She talked to the branch and they had a sponsored day for us. They had 4 rowing machines in Marketplace in Henley all day and had the public rowing. Also various banks challenged each other and Tesco's were there challenging Waitrose. And they raised £1,159. I'll tell you what we did with that in a moment. The day ends with the presentation of prizes, and the mayor and the MP, they all come along. It's a lovely day by the river. Now with the NatWest sponsorship, we thought, what can we do with this money? So we're having another day at Bisham Sailing School on the 22nd of May. It's an interactive day. We did it last year. It was cold, it was wet, and we didn't get very many people. The children loved it though, splashing each other. So we've got all day, we've got 2 or 3 bell boats, all skippered professionally with all the correct health and safety. They're running all day. The wheelie boat, the front of that boat drops down and they can get wheelchairs on.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
All right,
That's
fine.
double.
I'll be there. We are finishing now. The wheelie boat takes people, wheelchairs, and then this is something new, which again Rotarians might be interested in. This Wheels for All operates out of Bisham, can operate out of Bisham, and it is operating. You can have bikes there for blind people with wheelchairs, and that's very exciting, and that's also happening on the day. So Rotary clubs, local clubs, Marlow Club, if you can bring some disabled people on that day, you know, it's free, it would be superb. And finally, this is when we're having on Saturday the 3rd of September, come along. And that's the end. On time?
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
After lunch. After lunch, we have 2 amazing speakers. And this is Guy Fisher, who's going to be talking to you about something very exciting. And it's supported by James. So don't be too long over lunch. Come and listen to them.
But darling, what about Peter?
Where
would you like me to
No.
Now? Excellent.
No.
Right, good.
Darling, you haven't mentioned that.
No, I haven't forgotten. Oh.
Can you get
Shall I do that?
Yeah.
Carry on.
Do.
Don't introduce yourself.
Thank you. Hello everybody, I'm Peter May. Paul, is this the thing I require?
There you
It
are.
is. Excellent.
Well done.
Hello everybody. Thank you for the intro, Simon. Brief intro for me. I'm from Bisham Abbey Sailing and Navigation School, and I'm here to talk about the Accessible Boat Club. This is a thing that has developed out of the Rivertime Boat Trust that Simon set up all those years ago, back in 2006. It's a partnership, and what we do at the sailing school is we add extra services into the world of Rivertime to enable them to offer boating of different forms to people who wouldn't normally be able to get out on the water. So the partnership was set up originally after a crazy conversation between Simon and my father. My father is an artist, as Simon quite rightly said, and we've been renting all of the river frontage off the National Sports Centre since 1991, so more than 25 years. And the National Sports Centre is an absolutely fabulous place. So if you've never been to the National Sports Centre before, here's a little bit of a brief overview of it. The National Sports Centre is at Bisham. It has nearly 300 metres of river frontage. It's based around Bisham Abbey, which is a beautiful old building. That's not the original Abbey, of course, that got squashed. They're all the support buildings that Simon will remember from years ago. And it's an absolutely fabulous, beautiful place. Bisham Abbey was Rio's highest medaling site at the Rio Olympics, to give you a general idea, the kind of people that are around. That's the piece of water that we operate off. Down at the sailing schools we have a boathouse. And in the distance, somewhere down there is Marlow. Just about to see Marlow Heath Park in the distance. So you've got a general idea of what it's like to be there. So there are some Bisham Church, that will keep you nice and happy. We like to see the beautiful old views that we've got. So we do lots and lots of different water sports and have been doing it for a long time. We are an RYA recognised training centre and an RYA sailability centre. So we've been working with disabled people for 18 years or so. So there's Rivertime, that Simon showed you a lovely model of. So we're involved in that because, and this is part of the early relationship with Simon, as a company we train the skippers that operate the boat so that they're all commercially qualified skippers that take all the different people out on the boat. And it was after we started doing that that we really built the Accessible Boat Club. And I'd just like to focus on the word accessible because accessible means many different things. It's accessible for those that might physically have trouble getting on the water. It's about creating accessibility for those that may otherwise have been maybe prevented from going on the water by those that care for them, because it's about making everything on the water accessible. So try to think big picture when it comes to the word accessible. So this is what we started with. So these are called bell boats. For those who can see them, sorry, I'm in the way, guys. A bell boat takes up to 10 individuals on the water, and it's helmed by a qualified skipper. So we have to go off and do some qualifications and learn how to operate these things. So one bell boat is 9.5 meters long. So as a paddler, that's a bit of a challenge, bigger than your average canoe. Yeah, but it's a catamaran, so there are 2 hulls, so it makes it really stable, which is great if you feel a little bit unstable yourself, because it gives you a nice opportunity to get on a good, strong platform. It also means, put the health and safety hat on, that it's actually a really safe environment to go out and enjoy water sports. So there we are. These are some guys that are enjoying water sports. These guys are from Sybil Elbeth School in Southall. So people travel quite a long way to our centre to come and get these sports. And interestingly, they travel past other water sports centres to come and get them here as well. So there you are, that's Alfriston School, actually going out there. So it's a sports specialist girls' school for special needs children only. Deaf children, associated learning difficulties, autism, those kind of things. As you can see in there, so they've got a fantastic school uniform, these guys, because they're a sports specialist school. They've all got sports kit, all matching sports kit for everything. And you can see on there, actually, that in some cases, we'll fill the boats absolutely to capacity. So 3 boats means we can take 30 participants out at any one time. And these are all people that would have thought to themselves, do you know what, I'm never going to get on the water, because their care regime would potentially stop them from doing that, because their care regime have to risk assess something that they don't know much about. So there's some kids that have just had a great time coming off of the water, and what I've got is we've got a little short film which I'm just going to play to you to give you an idea of what it's like to be in a bell boat, which will come up in a mini mo, hopefully, if the technology works. So here we go. Can you see that?
Probably don't.
So you can see carer is on the right, small child is on the boat. We do everything from within the boat, so we take everything to them.
Are all the carers on one side?
No, I'll explain that in a minute, mate.
Yes, I was just thinking. One side of your caravan.
Yes.
Okay, so to answer your question about where are the carers, basically, it varies based on the needs of every single participant. So sometimes we'll have profoundly deaf people on board, so we'll put a signer at the bow of the boat facing backwards, So when the helm issues a command for the people in the boat, then the signer will then sign that command down the length of the boat for those who can't hear to follow that command. Sometimes if you've got somebody with a high need, say for example mid-range autism, you'll actually have as many carers in the boats as you have participating individuals, and they'll sit the wrong way round so that they can face the person that's paddling, so they can get involved and engaged and help that individual through. There was in one instance actually last year that we only actually had 2 disabled participants on the boat because their needs were so high. We actually had 6, including all the helms, carers, to make that happen. In that particular instance, the young lady that I'm thinking about, she was out on the water for an hour and a half, and her head of PE said they can't even do sports day at school for an hour and a half, let alone get them to focus on one thing for that long. So it's quite an amazing kind of influence that it has on them. But what we did notice whilst we were, of course, taking all these guys out on bell boats, we could deal with some cerebral palsy and some movement issues. However, we struggled to get wheelchair users out. So, because I don't like to get bored and Simon keeps on coming up with great ideas and getting me to do things, we decided that it would be a great idea to build another wheelchair accessible boat. But instead of like Rivertime 1, this time this is like a power boat, so it's much, much smaller. So, that's Jim slowly putting the boat together for us, and it created an environment that guys like these guys can start to go out on the water at the same time as their schoolmates. So when somebody's out bell boating, we can now take a chair user that's within that friendship group out at the same time. So if you take the likes of Manor Green School, 240 or so children go to it, 110 of them are in wheelchairs. Now we can get both the chair users and the non-chair users on the water experiencing it all at the same time. And there we are, there are some chair users in a wheelie boat, it's known as. And the very leading edge of the wheeling boat has got a ramp on it, so it's like a tank landing craft. And we can get people on and off the front of the boat. So they can go out and have fun at the same time as their pals, which is great. So the accessible boat club has started to grow. It's getting a bigger fleet of boats as it goes on. And I think I may even have a video clip to show you what it's like to be a chair user driving a power boat, which of course you would think would not normally be possible. So these guys here, we train them up to RYA Power Boat Level 2, which is actually a similar level of qualification as a normal skipper would get to drive a commercial boat. Comes on that piece of water. And you can see that's Kevin, he's a chair user, he's completely independent in the boat on his own now. He used to windsurf, had a car accident back in 2005, car flipped over. He says it was the luckiest day of his life because it was in a Honda Accord. He doesn't normally drive a Honda Accord. The car saved him. Sadly, he is paralysed from the waist down. He thought he'd never get back on the water again until last year when he discovered us. So he goes out and he has a great time and he can do it completely independently. And there's a family who were introduced to boating through a canal boat that had been modified and then discovered, of course, they can't afford to buy their own canal boat. So they now, wife takes husband out with dog and go river cruising because they're both qualified to do so as independent people on the water. There's Kevin up at Temple Lock on a nice sunny day. So one of the people that we've trained is Jeanette Chippington, so ex-Paralympic swimmer, and trains at the Abbey. She's now part of the Paralympic canoe squad, so she's learned how to use the boat as well. So hopefully this film will show you what that's like.
Cheers.
So the story continues to grow. So a lot of chair users would never have put going powerboating on their list of things that was accessible and achievable for them. And the club is now in a situation where people become members of the club, they ring up the sailing school, book in, and our volunteers that we get through Rivertime are the support crew, and they get prep the boat and they can go out and spend the day out on their own with their family, picnicking, doing all the things that I'm lucky enough to have done on the river for many years as a sailor and as a dinghy user. So we don't like to get bored. Simon is one for lots and lots of ideas, and he very kindly introduced us to a very nice man from Henley Sailing Club, who had a boat called a Sunbird. So this is a Sunbird. So if you can see that, guys, it's a sailing dinghy, but it's a sailing dinghy with a difference. It's got a big bench seat, or like a bucket seat actually, in the middle of it. So as a disabled person, you can sail this boat because it has a keel, it doesn't turn over, all the ropes are all returned back to the seating position. You can sail on your own, which is great. The only problem we found with this particular boat is it was also full of holes. So, we put it into the workshop for about a year or so. It took us to get around to actually finishing it all, and it turned into a lovely boat, which we now call Henley, actually. And so she's much shinier now. There she is, upside down in our workshop, after her last coat of paint. All thanks to me, Dad, who put a vast number of man hours into doing all this and teaching me how to do it as well. And there it is on water. So if you have got limited movement, limb loss maybe, or anything from waist below, it's quite a challenge to go dinghy sailing because you can't hang out the side. You don't have to hang out the side of this one. To the extent that we've actually tested it, there's my dad, bless him. We tested it in a force 4, so as you can see there, it goes quite fast, which is quite nice. And as you can see from the way that he sat down, actually, everything is all returned back to him, and it makes it a really accessible boat for everybody. So hopefully, if this are the wonders of modern technology, we've got a short film that will show you what it's like to go sailing in one of those boats. It's quite windy. So you can go all the way down to Marlow and back. And go upset. He's 72 years old. I probably shouldn't tell you that. He's not sailed a dinghy for a number of years. Because he can't hang out the side of him anymore. Hurts his knees. So you can see, even when the wind blows, it just rocks over onto the side. He did get his elbow wet. In a minute, you'll see, because I went past in the wheelie boat and made quite a big wave. So on purpose, I deliberately tried to find out how far we can push the boat.
Speed and washer.
Don't worry, I just did a sharp turn beside him.
Not too long.
Yeah. There it was. That was his elbow getting wet. Okay, so we don't do boredom, as I said. So I've now got a queue of 5 more of those boats waiting to go into the workshop, so that we'll be able to run a whole fleet of 6 of them. So people will be able to go out sailing together as a group, as a social group.
5
Yes, that one he told us about.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
So by the end of this year, what's the accessible boat club going to look like? It's going to have bell boats, it's going to have a wheelie boat, it's going to have at least one Sunbird dinghy. We're going to run 10 bell boating days, which gives us around 350 to 400 participants on the water. from various special needs schools all around the local area. I hope at the end of this year, with a bit of help from Sport Table, that I would have qualified 20 chair-using powerboat users up to powerboat level 2, and they'll all be accessing the wheelie boat any day of the week to go out and have a great time on the river. And I'm really hoping that by the end of this year, I would have trained 10 people up to use the Sunbird independently as well. And that puts, hopefully, it gives me a little bit of time to finish refurbishing the rest of the boats. So, biggest challenges, gaining trust with future users. There's an awful lot of people out there that think water sport is beyond their reach. But you know, if you've got the belief, Mal will tell you all about that. Yeah, it is doable, and we just have to break those barriers down. And one of the next steps for us is engaging with other charities to drive demand. So there are lots and lots of charities that gather, you know, potential users together. We need to make those links to make that happen. And ensuring it's sustainable. So one thing that's probably floating around your head is this is a lot of kit, and it's cost an awful lot of money. We've been very, very lucky. We've successfully raised a grant through the Sports Council Trust, so that's the parent to Sport England, and they very kindly let us have £34,000 to enable us to build the powerboat. And we've had a huge amount of support from Rivertime with fundraising that helps us get all the qualifications, the equipment and life jackets and all those bits and bobs. So we need to continue that effort to keep it sustainable. And then this is a thank you to those volunteers that I know you all volunteer for lots of things. It also is made sustainable by the volunteers that turn up and help all these people get on the water and help us launch the boats and clean them and all of those boring things. There's an awful lot of that stuff to do as well. So, well, that is the Accessible Boat Club. I've got 1 minute left, so I can now take one question. Any questions at all? Here we go.
Just to say, on the district website, I'm hopeless at throwing things away, so we just happen to have a slideshow of when was it David Suchet or his brother?
Yes.
Sorry.
David.
Did the launch, and it's lovely.
Could have.
But I think we should put something on about you guys as well.
Super.
That'd be fantastic.
Yes.
Wonderful. That'd be fantastic. Yeah. He'll action me and I'll sort it out.
Delegation.
It wasn't really a question, that was an action. So I'll have that one question now whilst we've got time. Any questions? No? Okay. Good. Fantastic. I'm done. Lovely. Handing back over to Fanny.
Come and have a look at these boards first, do, and have a look at the pictures afterwards.